Welcome to this space of calm motivation. This is not a place where you need to stop what you're doing. You don't need to sit straight. You don't need to concentrate hard. You just need to listen. Whether you're working on your laptop, studying late at night, walking alone on a quiet road, cooking in your kitchen, or lying on your bed after a long day, let these words gently flow into your mind. No pressure, no force, no rush. Just listen, because sometimes the deepest change doesn't come from loud motivation. It comes from quiet understanding. So take a slow breath in, hold it for a moment, and release. Relax your shoulders. Let your jaw loosen. Let your mind open just a little. This time is yours. And today, we're talking about something that silently decides the direction of your entire life. Self-discipline. Chapter 1. The silent power behind every successful life. Have you ever noticed this? Two people start at the same place, same age, same background, same resources. One slowly builds a strong, successful, stable life. The other keeps struggling, quitting, starting again, and feeling stuck. It doesn't happen in one day. It happens quietly, slowly, over months, over years. And when you look closely, the difference is rarely intelligence. It's rarely talent. It's rarely luck. The difference is discipline. Not the loud, aggressive kind, but the silent kind. The kind that shows up when no one is watching. The kind that chooses effort over excuses. The kind that keeps going, even when motivation disappears. Let me ask you something honestly. How many times have you promised yourself, I'll start tomorrow. I'll wake up early from Monday. I'll be consistent this time. I'll change my life. And for a few days, maybe even a week, you do. Then slowly, old habits return. Energy drops. Distractions increase. And one missed day becomes a lost month. This cycle is not because you're weak. It's not because you're lazy. And it's definitely not because you're incapable. It's because no one ever taught you how discipline actually works inside the human mind. Today, that changes. Chapter 2. Self-discipline is often misunderstood. People think discipline means forcing yourself, punishing yourself, living a boring, restricted life. That's not discipline. Real discipline is much deeper, much calmer. Self-discipline is the ability to do what matters, even when your emotions don't agree. Not because you hate yourself, but because you respect your future self. Think about a professional athlete for a moment. When they wake up early to train, when they repeat the same drills again and again, when they say no to comfort while others relax, do you think they feel motivated every day? No, they feel tired. They feel bored. They feel lazy sometimes. But they act anyway, not because they are superhuman, but because discipline has become part of who they are. Let me tell you a real story. There was a man named Jerry Seinfeld, one of the most successful comedians in the world. A young comedian once asked him, "How do I become better at comedy?" Seinfeld didn't talk about talent. He didn't talk about luck. He said something simple. Write jokes every day. Get a calendar. Every day you write, put a big X on that day. Your goal is simple. Don't break the chain. That's it. No motivation speeches. No complicated system. Just daily discipline. And that simple habit built one of the most successful careers in entertainment history. This is the truth most people don't want to hear. Success is not created in big moments. It's created in small, repeated decisions. What you do when you don't feel like it, that decides everything. Psychology tells us something very important. Your brain is not designed for long-term success. It is designed for short-term survival. Your brain loves comfort. It loves pleasure. It loves easy rewards. That's why scrolling feels better than studying. That's why sleeping feels better than exercising. That's why quitting feels easier than continuing. Your brain is not broken. It's doing exactly what it evolved to do, which means if you rely only on motivation, you will lose. Because motivation is emotional. and emotions change. Discipline is not emotional, it's structural. And once you understand the structure, you stop fighting yourself. You start guiding yourself. Chapter 4. The Silent War Inside Your Mind. Emotion versus logic. There is a war happening inside you every single day. It doesn't make noise. No one else can see it, but it decides everything. This war is not between good and bad. It is not between right and wrong. It is between comfort and growth, between emotion and logic. And most people lose this war, not because they are weak, but because they don't even realize the war is happening. Think about the last time you planned to do something important. Maybe you decided to study for an exam. Maybe you planned to exercise in the morning. Maybe you wanted to work on a dream that actually matters to you. At night, the plan felt solid. You felt confident. You felt clear. But the next day, your alarm rang. Your body felt heavy. Your mind whispered, "Just today. Rest a little. You deserve a break. You can do it later." And somehow, that voice sounded reasonable. That voice is emotion. Emotion is powerful. Emotion speaks in the language of comfort. It uses feelings. It uses excuses that feel true in the moment. Logic, on the other hand, speaks quietly. Logic says, "You promised yourself. This matters. If not now, then when?" But logic has no emotion in its voice. And when emotion and logic fight, emotion usually wins, unless discipline is present. Here's something psychology teaches us. The emotional part of your brain reacts faster than the logical part. That means, by the time logic starts speaking, emotion has already taken control. That's why you don't decide to scroll for 1 hour. You just start, and suddenly, time disappears. That's why you don't plan to skip your workout. You just feel tired, and it happens. Discipline is not about killing emotion. That's impossible. Discipline is about acting before emotion takes over. Let me share a real-life example. There was a student preparing for a very important exam. Every night, he planned to wake up at 5 a.m. to study. Every night, he believed himself. But every morning, he hit snooze. One day, instead of blaming himself, he tried something different. He put his alarm across the room, and he wrote one sentence on a paper near the alarm. "Your future is watching." That's it. No motivation video. No anger. No self-hate. Just a system. Now when the alarm rang, he had to stand up to turn it off. And once he stood up, emotion lost its power. That small change helped him study consistently. Not because he became stronger, but because he became smarter. This is important. Discipline works best before emotion starts negotiating. Once your mind starts negotiating, you're already in danger. The moment you hear, "Just today, just this once, just 5 minutes," that is emotion trying to take control. And emotion always wants comfort now, even if it costs your future. Let's talk about laziness. Most people think laziness means lack of discipline. That's not true. Laziness is often mental overload. Too many decisions. Too many expectations. Too much pressure. When your brain feels overwhelmed, it chooses the easiest option. Rest. Distraction. Escape. That's not weakness. That's protection. Discipline does not shout at laziness. Discipline simplifies the task. Here's a powerful truth. You don't need to feel ready to act. You need to act. To feel ready. Action creates clarity. Action creates motivation. Not the other way around. Think about brushing your teeth. Do you feel motivated every night? No, you just do it. Why? Because it's not emotional. It's automatic. That's the goal of discipline. To turn important actions into habits, so emotion no longer controls them. Another real story. A woman wanted to start exercising. Every plan failed. Finally, she made one rule. She didn't aim to work out. Her only rule was, put on gym shoes every morning. That's it. Some days, she stopped there. Some days, she walked. Some days, she exercised. But the habit of showing up stayed. Within months, she became consistent, not because she forced herself, but because she removed emotional resistance. This is how disciplined people think. They don't ask, "How do I feel today?" They ask, "What does my system say?" Systems beat emotions. Always. Now let's talk about something deeper. Guilt. Many people use guilt as motivation. They say, "I should feel bad if I don't work. I must push myself harder." This works for a short time, then it destroys you. Guilt drains energy. Shame kills consistency. Discipline is calm. It doesn't insult you. It guides you. If you miss a day, discipline says, "Okay, reset. Continue." Emotion says, "You failed. What's the point now?" That's the difference. Here's something successful people understand deeply. They don't identify with their feelings. They understand. I feel lazy, but I am not lazy. I feel tired, but I am not tired forever. I feel unmotivated, but my goals still matter. Feelings are temporary. Identity is permanent. And that brings us to something very powerful. The moment discipline becomes part of your identity, the war becomes easier. Because now you're not forcing yourself. You're just being who you believe you are. In the next part, we will go even deeper. We'll talk about how discipline is built through identity, why telling yourself who you are changes your behavior automatically, and how normal people completely transform their lives by changing one sentence they repeat every day. This is where real transformation begins. For now, just notice this. The next time your mind says, "Let's do it later," pause. That pause is disciplina being born. Chapter 5. The Hidden Root of Self-Discipline. Most people try to change their life by changing their actions. They say, "I will wake up early. I will study daily. I will stop procrastinating." But after some time, they fall back. Why? Because behavior is not the root. Identity is. Why willpower fails but identity works. Let's understand this slowly. Imagine two people. The first person says, "I want to quit smoking." The second person says, "I am not a smoker." Both are saying almost the same thing, but psychologically, they are worlds apart. The first person is still fighting themselves every day. The second person has already decided who they are. One relies on willpower. The other relies on identity, and identity always wins. Psychology tells us something very important. You don't act according to your goals. You act according to your self-image. If deep inside you believe you are lazy, you will behave like a lazy person. If deep inside you believe you are disciplined, your brain will automatically push you to act that way. Not forcefully, naturally. The mirror effect. You become what you repeatedly tell yourself. Think about this. If a child grows up hearing, "You are careless. You never finish things. You are weak." Even if it's not true at first, after some time the child starts acting that way. Why? Because the brain accepts repeated messages as truth. Now imagine if you have been repeating similar lines to yourself. "I'm not consistent. I can't focus. I always fail." Your brain listens, and it obeys. Discipline breaks when identity is negative. Let me share a real-life example. There was a boy who failed in academics again and again. Teachers labeled him as average. Friends joked about his focus. Even family stopped expecting much. One day, a mentor asked him a simple question. "Who do you think you are?" The boy replied, "I'm someone who's bad at studies." The mentor said, "That sentence is your real problem." He asked the boy to change just one thing. Every morning and night, the boy had to say, "I am a focused learner. I finish what I start." At first, it felt fake, useless, stupid. But after weeks, something changed. The boy started feeling uncomfortable wasting time. Skipping study felt wrong, not because of fear, but because it didn't match who he believed he was. That's identity at work. Discipline is not what you do, it's who you believe you are. This is the deepest truth. A disciplined person doesn't say, I need motivation. They say, this is just what I do. A runner runs. A reader reads. A disciplined person shows up, even on bad days. Let's slow down here. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture the most disciplined version of yourself. Not perfect, just consistent. How do they wake up? How do they talk to themselves? How do they react when they don't feel like working? That person is not someone else. That person is you, with a stronger identity. The identity shift exercise. Simple but powerful. Here's something that looks small, but works deeply. Write one sentence. Only one. I am a disciplined, focused, consistent person. Read it slowly. Not like a motivation quote. Like a fact. Read it every morning. Read it before sleeping. Your brain will resist at first. It will say, this is not true. Let it resist. Repetition always wins. Soon, skipping work will feel strange. Being lazy will feel uncomfortable, because your actions will try to match your identity. Why discipline feels heavy at first? Let's be honest. In the beginning, discipline feels heavy. Why? Because you are acting against your old identity. Your old identity says, we quit, we delay, we escape. Your new identity says, we show up. That internal conflict is normal. That discomfort is growth. Just like muscles ache when they grow, identity hurts when it changes. Real discipline is quiet, not aggressive. Many people think discipline looks angry, shouting at yourself, pushing aggressively, forcing productivity. That's not discipline. That's fear. Real discipline is calm. It says, I don't feel like it, and that's okay. I'll do it anyway. No drama, no emotional fight, just action. Small identity proofs build strong discipline. Your brain believes actions more than words. So start collecting small proofs. Make your bed. Read one page. Walk for 5 minutes. Complete one tiny task. Each action sends a message to your brain. This is who I am. Over time, discipline becomes natural. In the next part, we will move into action psychology. Not motivation, not theory. We'll talk about why starting is harder than working, how the brain resists beginnings, and how a simple 2-minute method has helped millions defeat procrastination. This is where discipline becomes practical. For now, remember this. You are not trying to become disciplined. You are remembering who you are capable of being. Chapter 6. The real enemy is not hard work. It's starting. Most people think they fail because the work is hard. That's not true. They fail because starting feels heavy. Think about it. Once you start studying, continuing feels easier. Once you begin exercising, your body adjusts. Once you sit down to work, focus slowly appears. So if continuing is not the problem, why do we struggle so much? Because the human brain fears beginnings. Psychology explains this very clearly. Your brain loves certainty. Beginnings are uncertain. When you haven't started a task, your brain imagines effort, time, failure, boredom. So it creates resistance. That resistance shows up as, I'll start after a break. Let me check my phone first. I'll do it later. This is not laziness. This is your brain protecting energy. Chapter 7. Why motivation disappears at the exact wrong time. Motivation is emotional. It comes when the task feels exciting. It disappears when effort appears. That's why motivation is unreliable. Discipline does not wait for motivation. Discipline creates motion, and motion creates motivation. The 2-minute rule, the doorway to discipline. Here is one of the most powerful psychological tools ever discovered. Chapter 8. The 2-minute rule. The rule is simple. You don't commit to finishing. You don't commit to excellence. You only commit to starting for 2 minutes. That's it. 2 minutes of reading. 2 minutes of writing. 2 minutes of movement. Your brain does not fear 2 minutes. It accepts the deal. Why this rule works, psychology behind it. Once you start, something important happens. Your brain shifts from resistance mode to engagement mode. Blood flow increases to the prefrontal cortex. Focus improves. Discomfort reduces. Now stopping feels harder than continuing. That's momentum. Real life example: the writer who couldn't write. A man dreamed of becoming a writer. Every day, he felt blocked. So he made one rule: I will write badly for 2 minutes. No pressure, no expectations, just typing. Some days, he stopped at 2 minutes. Most days he didn't. Within 1 year, he finished his first book. Not because he became talented, because he learned how to start. Chapter 9. Discipline is built in low-energy moments. Here's a powerful truth. Discipline is not built on good days. It is built on days when you feel tired, you feel bored, you feel unmotivated. Those are the days that shape identity. Anyone can work when they feel inspired. Disciplined people show up when they don't. Remove the pressure of perfection. One reason starting feels hard is perfectionism. Your mind says, if I can't do it perfectly, why start? That's a lie. Progress beats perfection. 2 imperfect minutes beats 0 perfect plans. Instead of asking, how much should I do? Ask, what is the minimum I can do today? Read 1 page. Solve 1 problem. Do 1 push-up. This keeps the habit alive, and habits are stronger than motivation. Another real example. A woman wanted to lose weight. She failed every plan. Then she changed one thing. She stopped aiming for workouts. Her goal became, just show up at the gym. Some days she stayed 5 minutes, some days 30, but she never broke the habit. Consistency changed her body and her confidence. Chapter 10. Why discipline grows when tasks feel small. Your brain releases dopamine when a task feels achievable. Small tasks feel achievable. That dopamine reinforces behavior. Large goals feel heavy. Small steps feel possible. That's why discipline grows through simplicity. Action first, feelings later. This is the rule disciplined people live by. They don't ask, do I feel like it? They ask, what's the next small action? Feelings follow action. Always. In the next part, we will talk about pleasure. Why your brain chases it. Why discipline fails when life feels boring. And how a powerful method called temptation bundling can reprogram your brain to enjoy discipline. This is where discipline becomes sustainable. For now, remember this. You don't need to conquer the whole mountain. You just need to take the first step. 2 minutes. That's where discipline is born. Chapter 11. Why your brain runs toward pleasure and how discipline becomes enjoyable. Your brain is not designed to make you successful. It is designed to make you feel good. That single truth explains almost every discipline problem you've ever faced. Think about it. Why does scrolling feel so easy? Why does junk food feel comforting? Why does avoiding work feel relieving? Because your brain is chasing dopamine. Dopamine is not the pleasure chemical. It is the anticipation chemical. It pushes you toward whatever feels rewarding right now. Your brain does not care about your future body. It does not care about your future career. It does not care about your future success. It cares about one thing. How can I feel better in this moment? This is why discipline feels hard. Discipline often has delayed rewards. You study today, results come later. You exercise today, body changes later. You work today, success comes later. Your brain hates waiting. Most people fight their brain. They say, I must stop enjoying life. I must control myself. I must be strict. That never lasts. Because you cannot win a long-term war against your own biology. So disciplined people do something smarter. They redirect pleasure. There is a simple psychological technique used by high performers, athletes, and behavioral scientists. It's called temptation bundling. It means combining something you enjoy with something you avoid. Here's how it works. Instead of saying, I will stop pleasure, you say, I will attach pleasure to discipline. This changes everything. Let me give you a real example. A man hated exercising. Every plan failed. Then he made one rule. He was allowed to listen to his favorite podcast only while walking. Not at home, not in the car, only while walking. Within weeks, walking became something he looked forward to, not because exercise changed, but because pleasure was attached to it. Your brain learns through association. If discipline always feels painful, your brain resists it. If discipline feels rewarding, your brain cooperates. Another example, a student struggled to study, so she created a rule. Her favorite coffee was allowed only during study time. No study, no coffee. Soon, studying triggered excitement. Her brain started craving focus. That is not motivation. That is psychology. This is how habits are actually built, not through force, through design. Now let's slow down here. Most people think discipline means saying no to pleasure. That's incomplete. Discipline means choosing better pleasure. Short-term pleasure feels good now and hurts later. Long-term pleasure feels uncomfortable now and rewards later. But your brain doesn't understand later naturally, so you help it. You bring reward closer. Here's a very important truth. Discipline fails when life feels boring. If your routine feels empty, strict, and joyless, you will rebel. Not because you are weak, but because your brain needs stimulation. Disciplined lives are not dull lives. They are intentional lives. Think about top athletes. They enjoy the process, the sweat, the routine, the rhythm, not at first, but over time, because their brain has learned to associate effort with reward. Now let's talk about a mistake many people make. They try to remove all dopamine. No phone, no fun, no breaks. This creates burnout. Burnout destroys discipline faster than laziness. Discipline is not about punishment. It is about balance. You don't eliminate pleasure. You schedule it. Here's another real story. A working professional wanted to improve his skills. Every evening, he felt drained. Instead of forcing himself to study for hours, he did this. He studied for 30 minutes. Then he allowed himself 10 minutes of something enjoyable. No guilt. Over months, his focus improved. Because effort felt fair. Your brain needs to know. Effort will be rewarded. When it knows that, resistance drops. This is why children learn faster than adults. They get immediate feedback, immediate encouragement. Adults rarely reward themselves for effort. They wait for results. That delay kills consistency. Here's a small exercise. Choose one disciplined activity you avoid. Now choose one small pleasure. Attach them only during that activity. That's it. You're not changing your personality. You're changing your environment. One more thing. Discipline collapses when you overload your brain with cheap dopamine, endless scrolling, random content. These train your brain to expect stimulation without effort. Then real work feels unbearable. Not because it is hard, but because your brain is overstimulated. Disciplined people protect their dopamine. They don't consume it mindlessly. They use it intentionally. In the next part, we will talk about accountability and pressure. Why humans perform better when something is at stake. Why "I'll do it alone" often fails. And how a simple habit contract can multiply your discipline. This part will be uncomfortable, but life-changing. For now, remember this. Discipline is not the absence of pleasure. It is the intelligent use of it. Chapter 12. Why discipline grows faster when something is at stake. Let's be honest for a moment. How many times have you said, "I'll do it on my own. I don't need anyone. I'll stay consistent myself." And for a few days, you did. Then slowly, intensity dropped, focus faded, consistency broke. This happens because the human brain is not designed to perform in isolation. We are social creatures. We perform better when someone is watching, when something is at risk, when there is accountability. That's not weakness. That's psychology. Why the brain obeys when there is a cost. Psychology has a concept called loss aversion. It means this: humans feel the pain of losing something much more strongly than the joy of gaining something. You may ignore a reward. but you rarely ignore a loss. That's why deadlines work. That's why exams work. That's why responsibility changes behavior. Discipline increases when the brain knows, if I don't act, I lose something. Chapter 13. The habit contract, turning discipline into a deal. A habit contract is simple. You choose one small habit, one consequence, one witness. That's it. Let me explain with a real example. A student struggled to study daily. Motivation didn't work. Timetables didn't work. So he made a contract. If I skip my daily study session, I will pay court 50 to my friend. Nothing huge, just uncomfortable enough, and something changed. Skipping no longer felt free. His brain became alert, not stressed. Alert. That small pressure built discipline. Why self-punishment fails but consequences work. There's a difference between punishment and consequence. Punishment comes from emotion, shame, anger, guilt. Consequences are calm, pre-decided, fair. Disciplined people don't insult themselves. They set rules. If I do this, this happens. If I don't, that happens. No drama. Real-life example when discipline became non-negotiable. A working woman wanted to wake up early. She failed for months. Then she told her family, if I don't wake up by 6 a.m., I will cook dinner for everyone that night. Simple, but now her brain knew. Skipping had a cost. Within weeks, her routine stabilized. Not because mornings became easy, but because discipline became meaningful. Accountability is not control, it's support. Some people think accountability means pressure, fear, or control. That's wrong. Accountability means structure. It means you are no longer relying on mood. You are relying on agreement. And agreement is stronger than emotion. Small stakes create big change. The mistake people make is choosing extreme consequences. Huge punishment creates stress. Stress kills consistency. The goal is not fear. The goal is awareness. Even a small stake is enough. Your brain just needs to know, this matters. Chapter 14. Why disciplined people design pressure. Successful people don't wait for pressure. They create it. Deadlines, commitments, public promises. They don't trust motivation. They trust structure. In the next part, we'll talk about something modern and dangerous. Cheap dopamine. Why phones are destroying focus. Why discipline feels impossible in the digital age. And how a gentle method called dopamine detox light can restore your control without extreme rules. This part will explain why your mind feels restless and how to calm it. For now, remember this. Discipline grows when your actions have weight, not guilt. Not fear, just responsibility. Chapter 15. Your mind is not weak, it is overstimulated. Let's start with the truth. If you feel restless, if your mind jumps from one thought to another, if sitting quietly feels uncomfortable, it does not mean you lack discipline. It means your brain is overstimulated. Modern life floods your mind with constant input. Messages, short videos, notifications, endless information. Your brain was never designed for this speed. Chapter 16. How cheap dopamine slowly destroys discipline. Every scroll gives a tiny dopamine hit. Not enough to satisfy you, just enough to keep you scrolling. This trains your brain to expect reward without effort. Then real work feels heavy. Studying feels boring. Silence feels uncomfortable. Not because work is hard, but because your brain has been trained to avoid effort. Why willpower alone cannot fix this. Many people try to fight this with force. They say, I'll control myself. I'll just use my phone less. It works for a few days. Then the urge returns stronger. Because the problem is not behavior. The problem is reward imbalance. Your brain is used to high stimulation. Low stimulation tasks feel painful. Chapter 17. Dopamine detox light control without extremes. You don't need to disappear into the mountains. You don't need to quit everything. You just need one protected hour. 1 hour every day where no phone, no scrolling, no notifications, no random content, only calm, effort-based activities, reading, studying, writing, walking, planning. This resets your brain slowly. No shock, no burnout. Real-life example focus came back quietly. A college student couldn't focus for more than 10 minutes. Instead of deleting apps, she did this. Every evening, from 7 to 8 p.m., her phone stayed in another room. That was it. At first, it felt uncomfortable. By day 5, focus improved. By day 10, studying felt easier. Not exciting, but calm. That calm is discipline returning. Why boredom is not the enemy. We've been taught to avoid boredom, but boredom is where focus grows. When stimulation drops, your brain learns to create interest internally. That's how deep thinking returns. That's how discipline strengthens. Discipline returns when dopamine normalizes. After 7-10 days of controlled stimulation, focus increases, restlessness reduces, motivación stabilizes. Not dramatic, but powerful, because now effort doesn't feel painful. A simple rule to remember: if your mind feels chaotic, don't add motivation. Remove stimulation. That's the secret. In the next part, we will slow everything down. We'll talk about reflection, self-talk, and mental clarity. Why disciplined people talk to themselves differently. Why one question at night can rewire your brain. And how calm reflection builds inner control. This part will feel gentle, but it creates deep change. For now, remember this: discipline doesn't grow in noise. It grows in silence. Chapter 18. The way you talk to yourself decides everything. There is a voice inside your head. It speaks when no one else is around. It comments on your mistakes. It reacts when you feel tired, distracted, or slow. Most people never question this voice. They think it is the truth, but that voice is not the truth. It is a habit, and habits can be changed. When discipline breaks, it often breaks first in self-talk. The moment you say, "I'm bad at this. I can't stay consistent. I always mess up," your brain listens, and it adjusts your behavior to match those words. Not because they are true, but because they are repeated. Chapter 19. Why reflection is more powerful than motivation. Motivation excites the mind. Reflection trains the mind. Disciplined people don't hype themselves every day. They observe themselves. At the end of the day, they ask simple questions. What went right today? What went wrong? What can I improve tomorrow? No judgment. No guilt. Just awareness. Awareness builds control. Let me share a real example. A young professional struggled with productivity. Every night, he felt disappointed in himself. One day, instead of scrolling before sleep, he wrote 3 lines. One thing I did well, one thing I avoided, one small improvement for tomorrow. That's it. Within weeks, he became more consistent. Not because he pushed harder, but because he understood himself better. Chapter 20. The power of asking the right question at night. The brain loves questions. Whatever question you ask before sleep, your brain keeps working on it. If you ask, "Why am I so lazy?" your brain finds reasons. If you ask, "How did I show discipline today?" your brain finds proof. This changes identity. Here's a powerful night question. Did I win over my mind today? Even once? Even one small win counts. This trains your brain to look for progress. Discipline grows when self-talk is calm, not aggressive. Many people try to bully themselves into discipline. They use harsh language. That creates resistance. Discipline grows faster when self-talk sounds like a mentor, not an enemy. Instead of, "I failed again," say, "I slipped, I'll reset." This small shift keeps momentum alive. Chapter 21. From self-criticism to control. A student preparing for exams constantly insulted himself. Focus dropped. Stress increased. He changed one thing. Whenever he caught negative self-talk, he replaced it with a neutral sentence. I'm learning how to be disciplined. Not positive, not fake, just realistic. Over time, anxiety reduced. Consistency improved. Reflection turns discipline into self-respect. At some point, discipline stops feeling like effort. It starts feeling like respect. You stop working because you should. You start working because you value yourself. That shift is silent, but powerful. In the final part, we will bring everything together. We'll talk about long-term consistency, why perfection is dangerous, how disciplined people recover from failure, and how to carry this mindset into the future. This part will close the journey. For now, remember this: the strongest discipline comes from a calm mind that understands itself. A final visualization: meet your future self. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine yourself 1 year from today. Not perfect, just consistent. How do you walk? How do you speak? How do you feel inside? Now imagine the version of you who kept waiting for motivation. The contrast is powerful. Your brain understands this, and it chooses growth. The truth you should carry forward: discipline is not punishment. It is protection. Protection of your dreams. Protection of your potential. Protection of your future self. You don't need intensity. You need direction. You don't need motivation. You need commitment. Say this quietly, just once. I choose discipline. I choose growth. I choose my future. Remember this: you are stronger than you think, more capable than you believe, and closer than you feel. Just keep returning. That is discipline. If this video inspired you, hit the like button, subscribe for more motivational stories, and remember, stay consistent, stay unstoppable. Thank you for listening.